Hey everybody, it's Angie Atkinson, and today at QueenBeing.com we're going to discuss narcissistic abuse and how narcissists tend to amplify your pain rather than actually help you through it, and how you can deal with it. All right, let's get started. All right, so when someone you love, or at least deal with on a regular basis, displays a toxic amount of narcissism, you kind of find sometimes that life feels really impossible, right? I mean, in fact, many victims of narcissistic abuse find themselves affected for months or even years after the abuse ends. If you ask me, being in a relationship with a narcissist feels a lot like running your head into the same brick wall over and over again. And despite the fact that it gets bloody and beaten, you don't stop. You just keep running your head into that same wall, hoping to get through to it, make it happy. And while you logically realize eventually that it's a freaking brick wall and there's no breaking that wall down and the wall isn't capable of changing, it's a brick wall. Something in you makes you keep hitting that wall, bloodying your head and hoping for different results. And we all know what this definition of insanity is, right? Doing the same thing repeatedly and hoping for different results. Okay. Well, when you look at it that way, it kind of seems insane, right? And after all, the definition of insanity, like I just said, is to keep doing the same things but expect different results. So in the case of a narcissist, though, of course, it's not as simple as a brick wall. It's more of a convoluted mess. And if you're stressed or upset about anything, a narcissist is going to do whatever he or she can to make it worse. Am I right? At least that was my experience with literally every narcissist ever. So, for example, if you're standing on the edge of a cliff, a metaphor for your stress, with a narcissist, the narcissist is going to have two choices: grab your hand and help you save your life, or push you over the edge. And you know what's going to happen, right? Yeah, he or she will choose to push you over the edge every single time. Okay? But I've got good news and I've got bad news regarding this. Okay? So let's go ahead and get the bad news out of the way, shall we? You can't count on a narcissist ever to support you unconditionally. And when he or she does support you at all on an emotional level, it will be only pretty much when other people can actively see him or her doing it, or can be aware of it. For example, one of my coaching clients was just telling me yesterday that after her husband died tragically in his mid 30s, leaving her with two kids and a whole life to manage alone, her narcissistic mother hugged her 2 times during that period of her life, but both times were in front of other people. Now, tomorrow I'm going to tell you more about this particular client with her permission, without her name or other identifying information, but her husband actually committed suicide. So this is pretty freaking serious. And while her mother said and did awful things to her during the whole funeral process and the days that followed her husband's death, my client said she still needed emotional support. And at one point, she asked her mother for that support. And, you know, just wanted another hug. And, this time my client says that, her mother wasn't so accommodating and it was only the two of them and my client's kids in the room at the time. So this toxic narcissist of a woman literally refused to hug her grieving daughter after she had just experienced seeing her husband hanging in the garage. Of course, that was because her audience wasn't there and she didn't need to play those quote unquote victim savior roles. And I'm going to cover those in that video that I talk about this woman and her situation later this week. So, anyway, that's the bad news, right? Let's move on to the good news, okay? So, the good news is that, of course, anxiety and stress are, part of being a human. But if and if you try to find someone who never feels anxiety, it's going to be pretty hard to do. And if you do, I bet you $10 that person isn't in a relationship with a narcissist. Okay. The good news is, though, that you can learn to handle that stuff all by yourself. And when you're involved with a toxic narcissist in a personal relationship, you really only have almost no choice but to learn to self soothe and self motivate. And if you can't do that, then you put yourself in this position where you can't function. Okay. And it's terrible. So you need to be able to function in your life. So you already know that if you count on your narcissist, you're going to be sorely disappointed, right? Disappointed. I don't know if you heard me. But today I'm going to share with you 12 tips that will help you to self-manage your stress and your anxiety as you continue along the road to recovery from narcissistic abuse. And you'll come out better for it when you're fully healed. Okay. Now, the thing that you have to recognize is that being with a narcissist changes your whole self. Okay, you lose parts of yourself, and it's a process to get yourself back. Right, you're probably not the same person today that you used to be if you're still currently dealing with or have just recently dealt with this type of abuse. So let's talk about it. First up, I want you to consider this: developing a high level of stress, anxiety, emotional pain, all that stuff. It's a skill, right? But on the plus side, lowering anxiety is also a skill, right? So the key to self-managing this type of anxiety and stress is to begin minimizing it as soon as possible, as quickly as you can after it hits you. Okay, so the more it builds, the more challenging it really can become to control. Okay, so if you're dealing with a toxic person, you have got to have a plan in place. You can deal with anxiety and stress all by yourself quickly and easily if you want to do that, and I'm going to show you how to do it today. All right. So number one, break your day into little pieces, small chunks. Only worry about the time, the little bit of time in front of you, the next minute if you have to. Okay. If you're sitting in a meeting at 9 a.m., there's no reason to worry about how you're going to pay the electric bill or what you're going to have for dinner because you can't do anything about it, right? So just take 1 minute at a time and keep your attention all on that 1 minute. And then you take the next minute and then you take the next minute. It's a process. Just like in AA and stuff, they say 1 day at a time. Well, here we're going to tell you 1 minute at a time, 1 second at a time. Just get through it. Just get through it, right? Number two, create a mantra and use it. So have a positive and uplifting like phrase that you repeat to yourself. You eventually start to believe it, and this blocks any negative self-talk. Now, if you go to my channel, you can see a few videos in a playlist called Narcissistic Abuse Affirmation Reflection, something like that. And that will explain to you. I'll try to link to that in the comments if I remember. I mean, in the description if I remember. Anyway, but otherwise, you can just visit my YouTube channel and check that out. All right. For example, I'm happy and capable of handling any situation. My life is filled with joy and positive energy. Even if it's not, if you say these things to yourself again and again, they can begin to become the truth. It's like you're putting that energy out there. Okay. Fake it till you make it. All right. Number three, the quickest way to relieve anxiety is to exercise enough to sweat. A casual walk is better than nothing, but to get the greatest benefit, get your heart beating, right? I don't know about you, but anytime I can physically move my body, I definitely feel better. So I can totally believe that that would work for almost anybody, even if it's, even if you're in a situation where you're not real physically active normally, just just move to a different room, get out of that space that you're in right then. Anyway, number four, make use of distractions. Okay, distractions never solve the underlying issue, but they can provide relief. Watch a movie, play cards, do a crossword, spend time with a close friend. Give yourself a break and put your focus elsewhere. Okay. Number five, keep going. Anxiety and pain and stress, all that stuff, it happens because some part of your brain is trying to stop you from taking action. It has, your brain has learned that it can kind of control you by making you feel miserable, and you can minimize that by keep going. Your brain will learn that making you feel anxious doesn't work. Now, there's a technique that I talked about earlier today on my channel, the 2 minute four corners technique. And it really works. My cat passed away this morning, and I had a really hard time. I'm still having a hard time with it, so pardon me if I look a little crappy today. But I talked about the technique just shortly after my cat shortly after we found her. And so I cried a little bit in the video. I'm not going to do that in this video. But as I felt that pain, I did the technique right in front of the camera. So you will be able to take a look at that and see that it does work if you want. Okay? Anyway, moving on. Number six, give yourself 20 minutes to worry each day if you need to. Schedule your worry time. You're going to find yourself less inclined to worry during the other 23 plus hours of the day if you do that. Or if you're totally devastated by some huge stressor, such as losing a job or a death in the family or a highly toxic breakup or divorce, or just being treated horribly by your narcissist so much that you can't function normally, maybe you need to give yourself a period of time, a specific period of time that you're allowed to quote unquote wallow in your pain. Feel sad, feel scared, feel angry, and then you have to cut yourself off. Okay, so for example, depending on the severity of the issue, personally, I'll give myself anywhere from 24 hours to a week to get over it. Okay, it depends on you and what works best for you. And then when I say get over it, I don't mean that the pain just completely goes away. I mean that, you stop focusing on the pain as your primary function and you intentionally change your thoughts when the pain hits you. Okay, all right. So, number seven, excuse me, change your environment. Get out of your current environment and give yourself a change of scenery. Go to the park or spend some time in the coffee shop. Excuse me, I have a little tickle today. Spend an hour window shopping, shake things up a bit. Okay. Next up, spend some time with your pet. I obviously wrote this before I had my cat die this morning. But if you have a dog, you already know how comforting they can be. If it's a cat, I promise you, cats can be equally comforting if you understand how to use, how to feel it. But sit on the floor and talk to your pet, or just pet your pet. Look in their eyes and see how pure they can really be. And how could you not feel better when you have that? Number nine, write in a journal. Get your anxiety out of your head, and write it down on paper. There's something cathartic about writing when you're stressed, and you can make a habit of writing about your life each day. Listen, I lost 100 pounds this way. I actually blogged my way to losing 100 pounds, in addition to, changing my lifestyle and my habits and things like that. But without sweating, without starving, without surgery, I lost 100 pounds. I wrote about it actually in a book called Project Blissful, or you can just check out queenbeing.com and find it all kinds of information on it there. Anyway, find the right scent, number 10. So I'm talking about like aromatherapy, or even just candles that are nice. Something that smells good to you, something that can be soothing, but something that such as like lavender, or whatever essential oils you prefer that calm you down. Take a trip to the candle store, find something that makes you feel good when you smell it, and then burn it when you feel sad and upset. Number 11. Find a hobby that requires concentration. Maybe it's chess, playing the piano, knitting, whatever. It doesn't matter. Pokemon, anybody? What the hobby is, as long as you enjoy it and it commands your complete attention, it can be a great way to spend your downtime. Okay? And number 12, visualize. This is our last one for today. Visualize something positive. Daydream about Maui, or remember a positive experience from the past. Imagine your perfect day. One of the things I say to my clients when they tell me I just don't know what to do, I'm just so devastated and I'm stuck and I need to be unstuck, is I say, well, close your eyes and imagine if you woke up tomorrow morning and everything was perfect. What would that look like? And a lot of times they don't exactly know, and they have to think about it. But in general, it makes such a difference for people. All right. Just imagine your perfect day. And then once you figured out exactly what the perfect day would look like, well, you go back to the beginning where you are right now, and you figure out what steps you need to take to wake up one day and have that perfect day. We'll talk about that more in the future, or you can check out my Udemy course, Rewrite Your Life Story. Okay. And finally, I just want to say this: dealing with stress and anxiety and pain, emotional pain, it matters in any situation, especially when you're dealing with someone like a narcissist who only wants to increase it for you. So you just need to do what you need to do to get through it. And you need to keep going on. I mean, honestly, what other options do you have? You can break, you can fall down, you can emotionally crumble, you can lose your physical health as a result of it. And if you have children or you have other people who depend on you in your life, you don't have the time for it. And so when you are going through your emotional pain, feel it, allow it to happen, and then cope with it. Doesn't mean it goes away. It means you learn how to deal and you move forward, because life goes on and there's nothing else you can do. Okay? So, my friends, that's all I have for today. Now it's your turn. How have you dealt with emotional stress, emotional pain that hurts you so much you can't function, anxiety, all of those things that come with being in a toxic relationship, the emotional torment of it all? Share your thoughts and your feelings in the comments below, and let's discuss it. Okay? So before I go, let me just do my usual spiel here. If you, not really my usual, but if you have questions, comments, concerns, or things you want to talk about regarding narcissism and narcissistic abuse recovery, you can visit queenbeing.com. This is packed full of good free resources for you, articles, downloads, videos, all that stuff. You can also check out narcissismsupportcoach.com if you're interested in checking out my free 5-day email course that I designed for narcissistic abuse survivors, and or if you would like to schedule appointments for coaching with me, which can be done via phone, Google Skype, Google Hangouts, Skype, whatever. Or if you would like to check out my books, visit bookscenes0.com. Okay? So that's all I've got. Like I said, have a wonderful week. Please take a few moments and let me know exactly how you feel and what it is that has helped you deal with the stress and the anxiety and all the stuff in your relationship. And if you haven't figured that out yet, go ahead and comment that too, because maybe someone else, myself or someone else can comment something back to you that would really help you in a way that you wouldn't expect. Okay? Thanks for listening today, everybody. Have a wonderful week.